Hello, and welcome to Character Forge. My name is Tyler Owens. I'll be your character smith, and joining us again is my wife Leigh, who's going to be our character artist. Today's episode is going to be a little different from episodes we've had in the past. Episodes in the past are, characters I've built specifically for Character Forge, although also sometimes in the one case for a campaign that I'd be running. But rather than building a new character for this episode, I want to talk about a character that I built a few months ago that I was really excited to play, but didn't ultimately get to. We got invited to play in a one-off during the holidays, and I built a female turtle monk named Fareg. I came up with a backstory for her that I really liked. I liked the stats I had for her. They fit really well my idea of who she was. She had a really fun personality that would mesh really well with the other characters that people had made. So I wrote all this up, and I sent it to the Dungeon Master so he could have a week or so to prepare for having her in the session. But I got an email back saying that he thought the character was super cool, but I couldn't play her. DM house rule, no gender bending. He suggested that nothing in the backstory was specific to her being female, so I could just change Fareg to be male and everything else would be fine. Ultimately, I turned this offer down. While I was willing to drop all of the many arguments that I would like to have made about why forbidding gender bending was a wrong decision, I wasn't going to just change Fareg's gender. If you've never experienced storytelling this way, it may seem strange, but characters take on a life of their own. The way that Leigh and I talk about it, it sometimes makes us seem a little schizophrenic, but it is really the best metaphor for what it's like, is like they're talking to us. If you build a character well enough, they have their own personality, so things that you could change, yes, you can decide to change them, but then you're changing who the person is. It's no longer that person. It's somebody else who shares a lot of the same things as they had.
Sometimes that's not the character you're really looking for, too. I mean, sometimes that turns out when you're role-playing. I built a character for a Shadowrun campaign that was just supposed to be this high-on-life, fun-loving guy who was just BFFs with the character that Tyler had made. He was such a douchebag when I played him. I didn't mean for him to be, but, just sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes that's not the way it goes because you know exactly who they are beforehand, and changing it feels wrong. There's both sides to it.
Yeah. Fareg was definitely a female. It was, by the time I got this email back, it was late enough that I didn't want to, didn't really have time to make an entirely new character. So I decided to still play a turtle monk, but I changed the monastic tradition, I changed the backstory, and some of the mechanical decisions, so that, I really had a very different turtle monk by the time I was actually playing them. And I've been pretty bummed ever since that I didn't actually get to play Fareg that night. So I wanted to talk about her for our episode on monks, so that she can still have see the light of day a little bit. Which that's a fun little pun for what's coming up. Let's see. So as some background, turtles are a race that can be found in the Turtle Package supplement for the Tomb of Annihilation module for D&D 5th edition. They're turtle people. The lore behind them is actually pretty fun. They don't mate until they are very, very old.
Subsequently, they don't date until they're very, very old.
Yeah. And by the time their children are like 1 year old, they will have died. Luckily, turtle children mature fast enough that by 1 year old they can take care of themselves. The parent turtles spend that year passing on all of their knowledge, all of their experience, all of their possessions to their children. So armed with that knowledge and those supplies, the young turtle then sets out on a journey to find their own stories. So I had decided that I wanted to make a Sun Soul monk from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And this gave me my idea for Faregg's backstory. Like most Tortle, Fareg was born in the waning years of her parents' lives. When she was only 1 year old, they gave her a strange iron medallion with no markings on it besides a very intricate spirograph. That evening, she had a dream of dazzling light being pulled from her parents' bodies and flowing into her. When she woke up, both of her parents were dead, and she found that she could shoot beams of radiant energy from her hands.
I'm sorry, did you just ask me to draw a very intricate spirograph?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I wasn't anticipating you having to draw her at the time.
I'm just going to write no on the medallion.
Okay.
That's an intricate spirograph. No.
So Fareg gathered her parents' things and went off to travel the world like any other Tortle would. She stowed away aboard a frigate, but was caught and spent the next 10 years as an indentured servant to pay off her debt. It was there that she gained her love for sailing, which she retains to this day.
I guess.
So she's traveled far and wide to try and find the significance of the pendant she wears. She wears. I can English.
No, English is fine.
But no one has been able to tell her its meaning, nor which god it represents. She longs to know why she was granted these powers, what purpose she's supposed to serve. Well, she's lived to be 102 so far, much older than any Tortle she's ever known about. I mean, the average lifespan for a Tortle is 50, so you might see one that's like 80, but 102 is pretty much unheard of. But still, in all that time, there have been no answers to why she has this medallion and, what happened when she was so young. So, I mean, at this point, 102, she basically just tries to take it easy, and she helps people where she can, while still placating her wanderlust. She still feels no desire to go home and find a mate, so, as she figures it, she's supposed to have a desire to find a mate right before she dies, right? So if she doesn't want to find a mate, then she still must have a few years kicking around in there. And, that's kind of her fatal flaw, is that she's a bit too happy-go-lucky,
I understand
really.
that feeling exact. I don't know. I can't relate. I tried.
So let's talk about the mechanics. We were playing level 4 characters for this one-off, so we're only going to be going up to level 4. Let's see. So we took the sailor background, which gave us proficiency in athletics and perception. And Tortles automatically get proficiency in survival. From the monk class, I chose proficiency in stealth and insight. I decided to do this to roll up her stats, as I do for like everybody. And her, as a Tortle, she gets a bonus of +2 to strength and +1 to wisdom. So with all of that, I ended up with, and I could go back and figure out what I had rolled, but I'm just going to give you the final totals.
Just roll dice a couple times.
Okay, but like...
It sounds great.
I know it sounds great, but the thing is, like, I'm actually rolling for stats the other times I'm rolling, but this I did this a long time ago, okay?
The galaxy far, far right here.
Yep. Okay, so we had a strength of 14, a dexterity of 20, a constitution of 8, an intelligence of 14, a wisdom of 18, and a charisma of 14.
Wait, what was strength and dex?
14 and 20.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's see. Just going over the character sheet that I had for her. The monk's unarmored defense feature gives her an AC of 10 plus dexterity plus wisdom which means that Fareg had an AC of 19, which is really nice because, you know, with that 8 constitution, she did not have much health.
She is ancient.
Yeah. As a monk, Fareg also had 10 extra feet of movement, which meant that she could move 40 feet per round. It's actually funny. Turtles are, you know, anthropomorphic turtles, but they actually still get to move the same amount as, you know, most races of 30 feet per round, which means that, you know, a dwarf or a gnome is actually slower than an anthropomorphic turtle.
Suck it, short foot. Wait. It's funny because I'm short.
So yeah, she's pretty spry for an old turtle. I decided to roll up hit points because
you hate happiness.
I hate happiness, and with all of those negative constitution modifiers in there, I ended up with a total of 18 hit points at level 4.
Bro!
So,
stop rolling for hit points!
Hey, sometimes rolling for hit points is very nice to me.
Like when you were a barbarian. No, wait.
Hey, it was very nice to me for my paladin, thank you very much, so...
Stop rolling for hit points.
Alright, first level monks get the martial arts ability, which allows us to use a D4 instead of a normal amount of 1 point of damage for an unarmed strike. At higher levels, the damage increases for this, but we only got to level 4 for this one-off, so it was still just a D4. At second level, we get access to Ki, which lets us use Flurry of Blows, which it lets us make extra unarmed strikes. We can also use Ki for Patient Defense, which allows us to use the dodge action as a bonus action. And we can also use Step of the Wind, which allows us to take the disengage or dash actions as a bonus action. And it also doubles your jumping distance.
Sorry about that, guys.
Stop it. Let's see. Very, very professional here. And it also shows you how very new to video editing that I am, that I'm not even going to try and edit that out. I could, but I'm just not going to. It's the truth. Let's see. Second level, we also get the unarmored mobility that we mentioned earlier that gives us the extra movement. Third level, pretty cool, gets us access to deflect missiles. When we are hit by a ranged attack, we are able to use our reaction to reduce the damage by 1d10 plus our monk level plus our dexterity modifier, so 1d10 plus 9 in this case. If the damage is reduced to 0, we catch the missile and can spend 1 key point to throw it back.
Heckin' sweet kung fu.
Yeah, sweet kung fu. At third level, we get our monastic tradition. As I mentioned above, I chose the Way of the Sun Soul. At third level, this allows us to make a 30-foot ranged attack that is identical to our martial arts attack, besides the fact that it is ranged and deals radiant damage. So Sun Soul monks essentially get a ranged fist attack. This is, we can use this attack multiple times the same way we could use our fist attacks when we're attacking. We can use it in place of our Flurry of Blows attacks if we want to.
We can dance if we want to.
Yes, we can also dance if we want to, although Fareg is 102 and a turtle, so I don't necessarily think she's going to be dancing very well.
I mean, dance-offs have been proclaimed a valid form of battle thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, as a distraction, anyway. Anyway.
Well, with the power of the internet.
And then, let's see, fourth level. In addition to our ability score increase, this is actually kind of weird. You usually don't get other stuff in addition to your ability score increases. But monks just get so many different sweet martial arts stuff, I guess. At fourth level, we get the Slow Fall ability, This allows us to reduce falling damage by 5 times our monk level, which for Fareg means 20 damage. Which is actually pretty nice, because if you don't know, you take a d6 of damage for every 10 feet you fall in D&D 5th edition. So for that, it means it is literally impossible for us to take damage from a fall less than 40 feet. And in practice means we get a good chance of taking no damage for a little ways higher than that.
Which is great, because you've got 18 hit points.
Which is great, because I have 18 hit points. Let's see. Let's get into some of the other Tortle stuff I haven't mentioned yet. Tortles can use their claws for natural weapons. It gives you a 1d4 plus strength, which we already have from our martial arts for the monk, which is 1d4 plus dex, which is better for us. They can hold their breath for up to an hour at a time.
Oh.
Let's see. So they have a natural armor of 17 from their shell, but we already have a better armor as a monk anyway, so that doesn't matter. What does matter, however, is Tortles can withdraw into their shell as an action. And what that does is give you a +4 bonus to AC. So for us, that'd be a 23 AC for Fareg if she's inside of her shell. It also gives advantage on strength and constitution saving throws. However, while you are in your shell, you are prone, and your speed is 0, and you have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, and you can't take reactions. So essentially, it gives you a really high AC, but you can do pretty much nothing else. In fact, the only action you can take is a bonus action to emerge from your shell. And then, languages. As a Tortle, we can speak, read, and write Aquan and Common. Aquan is one of those languages that you don't really see very often, but it's the language of the elemental plane of water. With that, I think that's all there is to say about the mechanics of Fareg. This is a shorter episode, both because we're only going to level 4, but also because I was just telling you about a character that I had already made rather than stepping you through making the character. Hopefully you still enjoyed it. I really enjoyed getting to talk about Fareg, and hopefully that'll make me a little less salty about, not even salty, just sad a little bit.
Awkward salty?
Sure. Thanks again to Leigh for drawing Fareg for us. If you like her art, you can follow her at Instagram at ReadTheWordsmith, or you can read her webcomic at monochromecomic.com. Links in the description. Be sure to like, comment, and share this episode, and don't miss out next week when we talk about Gish and guys with heads made of fish. But until then, keep those forges lit.